sports. I'll get it right this time.
Yeah, I don't know when that winked out, Colin. Did you notice?
No, I didn't.
It went to that screen before we started the second segment. Like that whole second
Oh, it
segment.
did. It was black.
Not black, but it was white with the sorry something's
Oh,
wrong. But
probably lost internet signal or something. Not a big deal.
All right, well, fuck it.
We will survive.
Not a big deal.
All right, he's ready for some sports.
Well, I got to figure out which beat I'm going to do first.
And geez, how popular is that other sports song?
Oh, yeah.
my God.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I got a song for you," and I was like, "Already on top of it." Scott's already got it.
I did not see that
had
show,
you.
though.
I figured you were there. That's right.
It was not. It should have been.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, hey, let me get ready.
The Swedish sensation Viagra Boys. Take it over.
I'm ready to go when Scott is, or you're going first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Epic Western Premium canned cocktails are the genuine article. They're made with 100% blue agave tequila from a small artisan distillery in the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico. Not with a bunch of malt liquor and sugar like other canned cocktails. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't talk.
Maybe you had too many.
That's why Epic Western cocktails are crisp, clean, and delicious. Choose from Ranch Water, Chisparita, La Paloma, or Brushfire. Their spicy take on their skinny margarita. Each delicious 12-ounce cocktail contains 0 sugar and only 5 grams of carbohydrates. Made in Mexico, 8% alcohol by volume, made with real blue agave tequila. That's Epic Western, the genuine article.
Come on, do it! There it is, sports! Woo! Woo! Come on!
Let's
come on!
fucking go!
We got some sports! Do it!
Yeah!
We love the
1
sports!
and 3, bitches! 1 and 3!
Sports! Come on, we can do it, guys! Here we go! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Sports!
Woo! Yeah! Sports!
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 Sports! Sports! Sports!
Denver sports!
Sports!
Let's fucking go!
Yeah, sports. Sports. God damn, we love sports over here.
Yeah.
Love sports. And now we're going to talk about Taylor Swift.
Oh, of course we are.
in the
I mean,
sports.
that's what we do now in the sports.
Ben, how do you feel about Taylor Swift? Give me a quick breakdown of your opinion of the lady.
I didn't care before, and now I just don't want to see her on my feed anymore.
She's so hot, though.
Is
Yeah,
she-
she's hot. Of course she's hot.
Well, look. There's plenty of people who, if you appreciate what they do, they can certainly be hotter to you because you think, "Oh my God, look how talented and amazing that person is."
That's why we don't think she's hot.
Maybe.
Hey.
I think she's perfectly attractive. No problem. But I could other female pop stars certainly. If there's other ones.
Google Taylor Swift Minnesota soccer mom and watch her impression of a Minnesota soccer mom, and you'll change your mind about her talent.
Oh,
It's hilarious.
I don't have any question about her talent. I think we talked about this last week or the week before.
Well, you have to talk about it all the time because that's what's happening in sports today.
Now she's there. It could be a publicity stunt. Maybe Ben, you know more about it than I do. But she's there. It really pains me to see her like celebrating Chiefs touchdowns when I think she was an Eagles fan like 6 months ago. It's the NFL's grabbed it and run with it, right? They can't get enough.
Well, I mean, it's boosted ratings and
Oh, yeah.
women. They're making inroads with all that kind of stuff. So the cynic in me is like, this is a publicity stunt. But, at the end of the day, I hope they're happy together. I hope they're happy.
I'll bet Travis Kelce's got a pretty nice dick.
I don't think even our NFL expert would know that, but or maybe he would.
Let me make a few phone calls.
Watch it,
Figure out
watch
if he's got
that.
some smooth criminals down under.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
reach out to a couple.
Work your sources there, Ben.
I don't know. It seems like I don't know what she's into. She's like dated a bunch of like the this racist guy, and then there was like Jake Gyllenhaal and just people like that. Travis seems like a different brand of dude.
He seems
Right?
like a douche, honestly.
Isn't he the guy you date to make the guy you dated before mad?
Pretty much, because you're like, look at this big hump. Look at this big hump. He knows he is probably not. He's probably not that smart of a guy, but he actually seems like a pretty good dude. He certainly was when people were getting criticized for Black Lives Matter. He stood up and said, "No, I'm into Black Lives Matter." He
Really?
supported. Yeah, he definitely.
His
supported
girlfriend was
that.
African American at the time too. So
Well, that's a good reason, I guess. Yeah.
He gets all the jabs. He's a spokesperson for Pfizer now.
Pfizer. There's another one. He's in the Mahomes insurance commercials. So he's hot right now. He's like Hansel, right?
no truth to the rumor that he's doing the Pfizer ads for free Viagra.
I hope.
I don't think he needs Viagra. He's got a nice dick, but
Hey, I got a nice dick. Doesn't mean it works. I've said too much.
I'll say one thing about Travis Kelce is from a guillotine league perspective, from a fantasy sports perspective, there is no greater positional advantage for any one player than there is at tight end with Travis Kelce.
No,
If you've got him, you're in.
Yeah, no one is more bankable.
Bankable.
Right.
No, that's not true because in our guillotine league, he had Travis Kelce. And
No, he didn't. Denver Dan ended up getting eliminated instead.
No,
because Darren-
you're not. No, that's not just this weekend.
Denver Dan got eliminated.
Kelce got eliminated weeks ago, and then somebody else grabbed it. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's right. And they spent most of their bankroll to get him, which is awesome.
You're right though. It's great because all these people are totally into it now. They want to see Taylor, but they are leaning into it so hard that it's a bit much. And I think then you run the risk of then you're seeing people start to be super sexist and shitty about it. And it's like, look, I if I'm watching a game, as long as they're not gonna cut away from the actual game, go ahead and show Taylor. I love seeing her get excited, even though it's about Chiefs touchdowns.
17 times though. That's how many times
Is
they
that
cut
what
away
it
the game. It was literally 17 times.
And she's chilling there with Kelsey's mom
and
which is hilarious.
and Brittany
and
Mahomes.
Brittany Mahomes, who's just a dumb bitch.
Oh no! See now the sexism.
Speaking of dumb bitches,
What I need to know is how is Jackson Mahomes taking the fact that he is not even near the
it's not even in the scene.
That guy. Well, first of all, he definitely his activities have probably kept him out of the limelight because you think about it, if he could get a TikTok going with Taylor Swift in the background,
right.
Bonus points, right? They're saying no, you don't get any of that anymore.
Taking his phone away from him.
Yeah, your phone's gone. You're probably not even allowed at the games anymore. So
That Mahomes slide at the end of that game cost me $22 fucking dollars. I'm so fucking mad. I had Chiefs minus 7.5, and it seemed like a done deal. I mean, it was brilliant. It was a smart move on his part, and I loved how classy he was. This is a Chiefs show. After the game, talking about what's his fuck who took over for Aaron Rodgers.
Jordan Love.
Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson, sorry.
But yes,
Green Bay. Yeah.
so he was so classy and talking about Zach Wilson and what a great game he had. That was just like, God damn it! I hate you even more now because you're actually classy.
So he did do that, and obviously that was the right move because he was like, "Oh, I could score and get
$22.
But I'm good. Yes, $22. I'm sorry. I'm sure Pat will send you a check. It's no big deal to him, but he did that obviously to salt the game away. He didn't need the touchdown.
Little flip
But
out of bounds.
Someone's going, "Oh, look, it's rigged." You hear that all the time. Weird shit happens. What do you think, Ben?
It's not rigged. Like it is not rigged. You have to. The thing about
That gave them a
conspiracy
100% chance of a win instead of a 98.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And I had Kansas City. I did an alternate spread thing. I Kansas City minus 2.5, and then I had
Bastard.
I parlayed that with the Jets under 26.5. So I didn't want them to get the ball back and score a garbage time touchdown. The Jets score a garbage time touchdown and mess up my parlay there.
What they're saying is, and what he's saying about his poor $22 is that that at that point, and I don't think Pat Mahomes was too aware of it, but
he did. You didn't see the interview afterwards where he was like, "Fuck Colin Daniels and his $22."
Fuck that guy and his $22. But a lot of people go, "Oh, well, look at this happen." There was the all of a sudden they call the defensive holding like in a real crucial part of the game, right? That seems to happen a lot. Different sport, but when the Nuggets won the title in I don't know if it was the last game when, and I bring this up all the goddamn time, Jimmy Butler kicked Aaron Gordon in the nads,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then they called the foul on Aaron Gordon, even after they reviewed
They
it.
reviewed it.
And I was like, there you go. That's an example of them just going, we need to extend this a little bit. Let's see if this is just the juice that they need. Does that happen?
I can't speak for every referee and
Sure,
say
of
that
course.
no, they're not. You know, I mean, we saw in basketball with Tim Donaghy coming out, and that there are ways. And if you were trying to affect the outcome of a game, that's how you would do it, through the referees with a holding call here or there, just enough to slow a few drives down and that kind of stuff. But the idea that players are in on it is so ludicrous.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
don't
just
believe
not- because it requires everybody to be in on
A grand conspiracy.
it. Right, and that's the thing about conspiracies fall apart as soon as you hold them up to logistics.
Or the
right?
kicker. Just the kicker.
Or the kick, yeah,
Like,
sure.
like in the replacements, they got his pub. The mob's got his pub. They're holding for ransom.
But I guarantee you that Pat Mahomes has no idea what the point spread is. I would think, or unless they were unreasonably unfavored, and he was like, "What the hell?"
I think they're acutely aware of what the point spread is. I don't think they care. Like they're acutely aware of what that is.
They're not allowed to gamble on the game. That's not their
Yeah,
thing.
players would never do that.
Oh, of course not.
Not
Not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
How
we didn't
has-
have a player suspended here for it. I think that, but when it comes down to that, you take, like, he did the exact football smart move. You go down, like, think, what was it last year with the Browns and the Jets? It happened. It was against the Jets.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Nick Chubb scored, and
Oh,
they
that's
wound up
right.
coming back on him because he scored. So that's the thing. Like, you just get down and take the 100%. If someone has a guaranteed lottery ticket and someone has a 90% lottery ticket, but it comes with like a flashing light, are you taking the one with the flashing? No, you're taking the 100% lotto ticket.
Speaking of lottery tickets, Patrick Mahomes is kind of a lottery ticket, right? He kind of changed the course of that franchise.
And I was, when they drafted him, like I looked at the tape on him coming out, and I was like,
Chief
this
show.
dude is going to be a bleeping stud, you know. And watching watching him at Texas Tech, and I'm like, this guy's going to be just an absolute stud. And then the 10th pick, and the picks start ticking back. I'm like, man, this is really going to suck for Denver when somebody trades up here and takes this guy. And sure enough, there goes Kansas City trading with Buffalo to the 10th pick to go get him. And thinking that's 7 picks after what, Mitch Trubisky? Wasn't Trubisky the 3rd pick in that draft, I believe, and then Watson was after that? Like, imagine being the Bears.
Yeah.
And you had Pat, and then looking at this situation now where you had Pat Mahomes and you had your shot at him. Instead, you were like, no, get me Trubisky.
Imagine being the Broncos. Imagine being the Broncos and having had a chance right now in 2023. The Broncos could easily have Kyle Shanahan as their head coach and Josh Allen as their quarterback.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Kyle Shanahan and Josh Allen together?
It's so.
Oh.
It hurts. It hurts.
There's a lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda. I get that. It just shows you how much a generational quarterback can change the fortunes of a team, right? It just fucking-
Like
And
Caleb Williams, for
yes,
example.
the next generational quarterback who the Broncos
This-
had in their sights.
This
And-
class is loaded, by the way. It's got several.
we're gonna talk about the Broncos. We like to kick the can down the road.
Kick the
a little
can.
bit. We're still in the 3rd quarter.
Ben, have you been diagnosed with ADHD, or is it just a thing that you have not been aware of?
Do I have that? I don't even know.
Because the way you your legs are constantly moving,
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do.
that is a classic
Is it?
symptom.
Well,
of
then maybe I
ADHD.
haven't. I don't know.
I
I've never
think
been
so.
diagnosed.
Yeah, it could be.
I do have the leg, like I got to be doing something.
You're a mover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you're a
agree.
mover and a shaker.
Here's what I was told. A friend of ours is a hairstylist. He's a brilliant hairstylist.
I know. I think I know the guy you're
You know
talking
what I'm
about.
talking about? Racist Phil.
Yeah, racist Phil.
He said he always told me that when he cuts hair, he could tell the people who sit in a chair all day as opposed to people who work on their feet.
Mhm.
Because people work on their feet, just don't move. And so the people working in an office are moving around all the time, shaking and moving. He has to kind of keep them in. And I got a tattoo recently, and I asked her that, and she didn't notice the same thing, but I would think it'd be the same way. Like if you had the people who were real jittery, they'd be moving around when you're trying to tattoo them.
Like a hatchet man? What'd you get?
I got a hatchet, man. I got it right on the small of my back.
I wish Juggalos were still a thing because that was a fun segment.
That was
Juggalo or Raiders.
You
So we can bring it back. I
You don't
actually
see
saw
many.
it
You don't see
Now I
many
think
Juggalos.
we're gonna have to develop a Swifty or
Oh,
kind of a thing,
get
'cause-
with the program
It
here.
works.
So it's good stuff. Let's do this. We're about at 50 minutes. We'll do a nice long 4th quarter,
Mhm.
and we'll get everything. We'll try to get everything back in. Now I'm like time's slipping away. We have a ton of stuff to ask Mr. Albright, and we haven't even scratched
That
the
quarter went by faster than the first two,
Well, I think
which also went by
we
fast.
cut this one a little short. So, but that's all right. We'll do it. We're gonna cram it all in.
You are.
Travis Kelsey is.
Exactly. He's going to do it too, hopefully. Right after this.
I want a fucking video of that.
Oh God, Colin, please.
I'm a voyeur.
Yeah, I gotta be like doing stuff like that's the.
Yeah, you're an angsty guy. Do you drink a lot of coffee?
I don't do coffee anymore, but the Celsius, like I do the Celsius drinks. Yeah, that's the thing. So,
I cannot live my life without coffee.
well, the army cured me of that. So like it was all I had to drink for a long time. It was like coffee or water. You know, it's like I kind of quit doing coffee. Like when I was, it's funny. It was early on in my career. My first assignment, and I came in. I had to be early as private all day, and it's Mountain Lift. Like I wanted to get the coffee going and everything else. I cleaned out the whole coffee thing because there's like this old grounds, like 3 filters in there. I'm like, oh, this is gross, man. So I put all this stuff in there, and there's these mugs, and they're all like filthy. And so like I was getting elbowed in there. I scrubbed them out. This thing was shining, right? And man, I will never forget Master Chief Watson. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this dude, he's the Navy attaché guy. He goes, "Oh, it's messing with my fucking coffee!" and screaming. It's like I just gotten the flavor of the way I was like sealed it and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and he's like seasoning and all this, talking about the because I took the filter because they leave the filter, just throw old new grounds on the old ones and keep brewing coffee. And they love that shit. And I hated it because it tasted disgusting. But they're so, their taste buds are so fried from it that they that's what they got used to. Like, you brought this fucking frou-frou ass coffee. And I'm like, I was trying to.
They're all drinking.
I was trying to be impressive, and I totally blew it.
They're all sick drinking Folgers, loving it.
Like off-brand Folgers, like
Are we ready to?
Okay, I gotta read, and then we'll bring it on home. Let's see if I can read this one without stumbling over every word.
Just a note. Remember, we were having trouble with the file size. There was a way to render it in Audacity to make it, but I didn't have to go through all that bullshit to compress it. There's a setting that you can do it. I was doing it the highest quality, and it didn't really matter. So I was dropping it down to like medium quality. Totally fine file.
Oh,
file
sweet.
size-wise.
Good.
Still doesn't answer why we can't load one up that high of a
Like we
file
used to?
size. Yes. So doesn't answer that, but I can work around it. So
All right,
you ready?
Yep.
Go.
Sportique has been where scooters come from and has been for over 25 years. And now Sportique is also the place for e-bikes. E-bikes from Scootstar, genuine scooter company, and the Jackrabbit, the 20 mile per hour, 20-pound mini machine that fits comfortably in the trunk of your car. So turn to Sportique for all of your scooter needs, parts, service, accessories, and apparel. And now e-bikes. Visit sportiquescooters.com or their expansive showroom at 160 South Broadway in the shadow of downtown Denver. Sportique, where scooters come from.
I got a couple things, and I know we want to get on some Bronco talk at least while we've got.
But kick that can.
We've got our Broncos guy here. Touch me, I'm sick. Mud honey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about, covering the team and having to watch you say or not watch what you say. The Rockies, KOA product they covered on KOA. Those guys always get criticized because They literally, like, a player could walk out on deck with a Nazi flag and swing it around, and they'd be like, well, he's got an interesting choice of ways of expressing his political views. They would never criticize him at all. And I think at some point people grow tired of that. And I don't know how much you follow baseball or you follow the Rockies. Probably not much because they're fucking awful.
Well, they take over my time slot quite a bit, so I already have an animus.
You've got an animus towards them. So that is the type of thing that I don't think people respect. Is that when somebody can't, no matter what happens, they can't say anything negative.
A little bit different, and I'll say this: I love Jack and Jerry. Jack's a real fun guy when he comes on the show. A little bit different when you're actually broadcasting the game at that point, because it's almost like, and the same thing with like David Rick, right? Doing the Broncos game during the game. A little bit different if you're in that scenario. I think if you ask Jack and Jerry in a different setting, you get some different responses at times. Sure. But I think at that point in time, their idea is to, and this is a gut feeling. I will speak for them, but this is a gut feeling I get, is that when you're in that position, you want to do a service to the fans, hype up the team and that kind of thing. And I think the analysis or picking it apart comes in a different setting, like you're a radio show, podcast.
Somebody asked you directly on
that kind of thing. So I for me, if I were doing it, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't necessarily, air quotes, be pro team, but I would never do anything that would be anti-team while I was broadcasting that.
Sure.
I would wait till I got on my show and then I'd be like, here's where we dissect this. I think this was stupid. That kind of thing.
Dave Logan, the consummate pro, everyone loves Dave Logan. He won't sugarcoat it if they're really sucking ass. Mm-hmm. He won't say they're sucking ass, but he'll let you know that this isn't the best. And you're right. Maybe afterwards in a post game, he would say, hey, they were sucking ass out there. But he's not going to say it. But you are definitely aware that he's not pleased with what he's watching.
Right. I think the other part of this for Jack and Jerry, the problem with them is that the Rockies have stunk for so long, and it's such a long season. Like 162 games of being like, well, we suck again is kind of is kind of defeatist. So I think it's a little bit different for each of them. But Dave, by the way, Dave and Rick are some of the best human beings behind the scenes. They're just like, they've both been mentors to me, and they're just some great human beings behind the scenes. Jack Corrigan's been great. I don't know Jerry Schimmel that well, but the other three, like those guys are all great human beings behind the scenes.
Schimmel's a legend.
Well, I mean, he's done like his whole life is like, it should be a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all that stuff. But I don't know him that well. I've met Jack. I've met quite a few times, and then Dave and Rick I know very well. So.
Switching gears, and I know Colin was interested in this. Your time in the military. Mm-hmm. I had read this before, and Colin reminded me of the Mother Jones article.
The one actual honest article about me on the internet.
I was going to say.
Somebody found that?
Yeah. And I read it a long time ago.
That article is 15 years old.
Is it really?
The article was written 15 years ago.
And then I read it back then, or maybe after it had been out for a couple of years. And Colin reminded me of it, and I reread it. And your time there. And Colin was like, I want to talk about it. And I said, well, this might be traumatic for you. Because
we talk about whatever you want. I will not censor anything.
But just having to bring this back up, because you were around with interrogations and all this stuff of all the people in Iraq, and that has to have an effect on you. Do you still feel that to this day? Is that something that does it haunt you? Does it affect other things in your life?
It doesn't. I don't know that haunts is the right word. It definitely is there. There's a constant specter of all that, that's kind of there. And it's interesting to me because so many people now, the hater crowd and stuff, try to, war crimes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, buddy, you didn't read that article because I was adamantly against what we were doing.
And
I was literally a whistleblower.
Yeah, you were working against that.
Right. And that's the thing. And the problem is just like, it's interesting because when you're in that moment, you feel so helpless. You really do. It's easy to be like, well, I'm a hero. I did all that. I wasn't. I was a coward. I let stuff happen and I whistleblew later. Sure. Right. And so it's tough. Like, it's a tough situation. Yeah, it does. It does affect, maybe not my day to day, but it affects who I am at my core. And there's kind of this whole, like, I have read in my ledger that I have to make up for because I allowed some things to happen to some people that should not have happened. Even if I didn't actively participate, I knew that they were happening and I allowed it to happen. And so like every day I have this sort of like, I got to do something good today to make up for that kind of thing in the back of my mind.
I perceive you, sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I perceive you as a complex character, and that Mother Jones article certainly contributes to that. And I think that Well, I've never been through anything that I can possibly compare to that. And I mean, in terms of the brutality of not only the situation, but the environment that you were in, and the temperatures, and just the entire situation in Iraq.
It's like being in hell.
Basically, like
Right?
being in hell. I sympathize and I empathize, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. And I think it contributes to what makes you a complicated guy, which is what I don't think the haters understand.
Well, what I was going to say is, you know, there's obviously some villains in that story, right? Some real fucking villains.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people, it's like being a cop. You know, I know cops and they seem like real good people, and you're like, that's a fucking good person, but they're still part of a system that they got to kind of look the other way sometimes. And when you're in the military like that and you're basically at war, it's like, well, what else am I going to do? Am I going to fucking sit down and spin in a circle like Curly from Three Stooges and say I'm not going to do it? They're going to fucking throw you in a jail cell somewhere.
Well, I mean, not a jail cell, but I mean, your experience is going to be significantly worse.
Yes,
is the best way to put that. I'm not saying somebody's going to order the code red,
Yeah.
but you know, it's going to be a situation where you're saying. And so that's the thing. Like, there's a quote in there. I went back and reread that article because I do every few years just to kind of go back and kind of refresh myself, I guess, on some of that. And it still rings true today. I noticed at one time I did multiple combat deployments. I was overseas in combat zones 3 different times, and I never once questioned my mortality. But I swear to God, I questioned my morality. And that was one of the things that everybody's the hero in their own story, right? And I'm not the hero in my story. Like I know that. I'm kind of like the anti-hero, maybe, if I'm being generous to myself. I don't want to make myself out to be Deadpool, but you get the idea. There's moments there where you're like, you're not the hero in your story, dude. Like and I'm a very flawed being. Lord knows I fucked up. The entire internet knows, some of the things I've done. Like, but at the end of the day, like I do want to be a good person. I strive to be a good person. I strive to be a better person each and every day. Sometimes I actually even succeed in that.
But you can't go back in time. And there's
Right.
no way to change it.
I can't fix that. The best I can do is try to help anybody else avoid mistakes I made. Try and give them the tools to be able to cope and survive in those situations.
There was a story that broke a couple of weeks ago, and people were making a big deal out of it on the internet, like they tend to do. And Sean King, in particular, the activist, was really bringing it to light.
That guy's a
There was-
character, by the way.
There was some, he is.
Big time.
There was some police in Philadelphia who got caught on their cop cam on their what is it called? Body cam.
Yeah.
Making some lighthearted comments, jokes about a woman who got hit by a car and thrown to her death. Yeah. And he, Sean King was trying to get these guys fired because they made light of this situation. But when you're in a position like they were, or like you were, when there is a certain amount of gallows humor that you have to have in order to be able to offset the anxiety that you're constantly living.
Is that accurate?
I would say that's very true. I would say that when you're in those stressful situations, humor is a coping mechanism, right? It's what we do to cope with everything, and that's why I have even comedians who are saying things that I hate. I will always defend their right to say it. Like Chappelle gets in trouble for saying.
And they're the only ones who can say whatever the fuck they want.
But I think it's important that they do, and I think if we laugh at it, that doesn't mean we agree with it. We laugh at the observation because of the morbidity of it, right? Where we laugh at the observation because of the darkness of it, and we're like, God, I need this humor to cope with how dark that is. And how traumatic. Sure. So I think that there are moments where we, as people need that kind of thing. I'm not saying what those people did was right, and I'm not defending what they said, but at the same time, I sort of understand because I've made jokes that if they were out, I'd be canceled. I've made jokes like that, like and it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And that doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it okay. That's just the rat. It's one of those things where when you have to explore the darkest corners of humanity, you talk about a woman dying, right? You talk about people being beaten right in front of you, or shot and killed, or those like when you have to live through pulling a 12-year-old boy out of a home with a fistful of money, and that money equates to about $4 as he's being brutally sodomized.
Oh God!
And you have to see that, and you have to understand that that's his way of providing food for his family, right? When you have to live through stuff like that, you do start to have, and I know I just brought the whole show down, but like
That's good.
you have to. There's a coping mechanism somewhere in there, and that's where I think humor like that comes from. And again, not condoning what they said, not backing what they said or that kind of stuff, but I understand.
There's so many shades of gray, and I won't be the first one to defend cops on here, but I know there's a lot of shades of gray to all of it. And we get off this topic, but I did want to say, in that article they mentioned Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw Starship Troopers, so I got
Wait,
married.
okay, the book or the movie, because they are two different things.
I know the book's very different. I'm talking about the movie.
Okay.
I had gotten married right at like a couple weeks after 9/11, and it was super weird. People didn't come to the wedding because they didn't want to fly, whatever. When I went on my honeymoon, and I watched, I'd seen Starship Troopers a bunch of times before, but I watched it, and I was like, that's exactly what's going on right now.
The jingoism.
That's fucking exactly it. And it really, like, I saw it then. And I imagine you that's why they referenced it, because like you talked about.
They reference it because of the book, actually. The book, I have this compulsion where I think that people, in an effort to criticize, should experience. And so for me, I'm like, I don't think compulsory service should be a thing, but I kind of like understand it to a degree. Like, I feel like I'm more invested in our, and no offense, but I feel like I'm more invested in our government, but because I served for that long, right? And maybe that's just blood, sweat, and tears out there doing that kind of thing. And maybe that's an arrogant statement, or maybe that's misinformed, but there's a genuine feeling I have going around day to day sometimes because of that. Now, obviously government affects everybody in the same way. So it's not really true, but you get that feeling. And that's where that comes from, is that book. There's kind of in order to be a full citizen, you have to do some service. The interesting thing about the movie is the way that they did it, almost a satire and like a propaganda jingoism kind of thing.
Yes.
And you get a whole different set of things from that, but they were relevant to that moment. It's exactly right. The book was relevant to why I enlisted back in 1997, like before 9/11. But the movie kind of plays into the things that happened after 9/11. And you could sort of see how the rallying around the flag and the jingoism, uber patriotism, almost fanaticism to a point becomes prevalent.
It's very interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to drag all
let's
this down.
talk Bronco. No, I wanted to ask you about that because I've seen the movie a bunch of times. I don't think I've read the book because I don't know the difference.
The book is a totally different tone.
Yeah.
So if you did, you know the difference.
That whole conversation, this is a quick aside.
Okay.
That whole conversation just made my head go to a place where I started thinking about how immigration and civil service could integrate together. And that's a conversation for another podcast. But how good is Caleb Williams?
He's the truth. He's a generational prospect.
But is he going to be the Broncos next quarterback?
No, he's going to be the Bears' next quarterback, and Matt Eberflus will be gone. Matt Eberflus might not even survive this Washington.
Crazy like a fox, that guy. I mean, that was a brilliant job. We were talking about this before we went on air, but brilliant job of taking.
He went anti-Lovie Smith on that one and issued the field goal. I'll say this: the Bears basically have that locked up, and they will, and they'll ask Caleb who he wants to be the head coach, and that'll be the way that direction.
So what are they going to do with Justin Fields?
Who cares?
Because did we have it? Oh, I don't think so.
He sucks out.
I don't think so.
He's 5-28 as a starter. Like, his stats, his passing statistics are literally worse than Jamarcus Russell's.
It's pretty bad.
He just had a career game against the Broncos.
Yeah, he looked really good against the Broncos. And then he didn't even run the.
He had like 98 passing yards the week before. Like, he couldn't throw.
I think that's just because they use him wrong. If you used him as a Michael Vick type,
So let me say
somebody
this.
else is going to use.
Somebody else will
Right.
try to reclaim him. I wouldn't be surprised to be at like Atlanta with Arthur Smith down there, kind of doing that thing with because Desmond Ridder sucks out loud. So like I wouldn't be surprised to see if something like that happened. Like, he'll go somewhere else. But when you have the choice, it's just like when Arizona had Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, and they were like, well, we have this guy we can develop, or we can get this guy who's good right now. And that's what's going to happen. They'll punt on Fields and they'll take.
Yeah, if you've got the guy who's like you think is going to be your quarterback for the next 15 years,
Or Kansas City, when you had Alex Smith, and you were like, man, I'll get rid of this for Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, we got this guy. We're going to go with him.
They went from the number one.
Where are the Bears?
Yeah.
Where are the Bears going to play? I mean, what's the future for the Bears? I've read all this stuff about all these.
Field? Oh, they've already got new land, and they're going to.
They bought that horse track.
Yeah, they're going to build a new stadium.
So I worked at that horse track.
No way, really.
He jacked the horses off.
Where did you?
That was my job.
You lived in Chicago.
Yeah, my dad was in the city. My mom was in Arlington Heights.
Oh, nice.
That racetrack was Arlington Park.
So I lived for a year. I lived south at Dwight, and then I lived off. When we moved up in into the city with just off Lake Shore, just across from Navy Pier. So,
Yeah, it's
He's a
good place.
Chiefs, Lakers, Cubs
Bears
fan.
oh God, neither the Lakers nor the Cubs. Ugh. When I was there, I was a Sox fan.
I saw your car in the parking lot.
couldn't be a
at
Cubs fan. I
Trader
was born in
Joe's.
St. Louis. I could never be a Cubs fan.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
The track is far away from
Mhm.
Chicago.
Right.
Like it's not close.
Sure, but that's
The way that Denver Airport is actually in Kansas.
yeah, that's where it's going to go, right? When they finally move the stadium somewhere else, it's going to be way the fuck out. Right?
Yeah, the Broncos are going to do that. They're going to build a giant entertainment land the way they did in LA because the ground that they're sitting on is worth way too fucking much money for them to justify keeping it there.
Yeah,
And
they use it 8-9 times a year or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be developed, and right across the river from there, Elitch's is moving, and there are going to be the tallest buildings in Colorado. Two of them, two big residential glass and steel towers are going in where Elitch's is. After that happens, the Broncos are fucking gone.
What
They are gone.
they already, yes, they are. They're not going to be. They're not going to be in that stadium when the lease is up.
Yeah, they're like let's put a new coat of paint on it. Maybe we'll
No, we're
we'll dust
totally
this
invested.
off.
We put a new field
Yeah.
in for one game. We're totally
Yeah.
invested.
So when does this lease up? Anyone know?
It's gonna be. They'll be
Which really fucking sucks because downtown's going to lose. Eventually, Kroenke's going to
No, because I think they're going to take that land. They're going to build they're going to build a new practice facility for the Nuggets and the Avalanche.
Mhm.
And I think they're going to build it in that land area. So then they keep that right there. I don't think that's going to.
Well, if the Avs and Nuggets don't leave, then at least we still have sports downtown. But the Broncos are gone. They're gone. Absolutely gone.
oh,
it
yeah,
does.
sure.
It'll be out in between downtown and GIA.
So by the time that happens, will the Broncos be good again?
The Broncos could be good again pretty quick if they get a couple things solved.
What do they need to do?
Well, I mean, you got a bunch of players coming. Right now, you got so much youth out there on defense, and that's sort of a problem. There's a couple of defensive pieces they need, specifically up front. Like, you got to be able to get pressure on the
A couple. Did you watch the tackling on Sunday? They don't need a couple.
Well, I mean, they're getting some pieces back, and that'll help too. They need to move on from some things. You know, Randy Gregory. I think George Payton gets hung with a lot of things he didn't actually do, but the Randy Gregory thing was him, and that they got hosed on that one. So that's going to have to be kind of dealt with. You've got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback in order for the scheme to be successful. And so that's the main thing. If they can do that and they can cut the points allowed down by half, then they're winning games. Right.
How long before they cut the cord with Russell Wilson?
He's auditioning for this year. I mean, to be honest with you, Russ has played pretty well this year.
Oh no, he's like fifth in QBI.
Yeah, and it's to say he's like a top 10 quarterback, top 7 quarterback this year. It's just, I mean, you have an out after this year. You'll post June 1 it and split it over 2 seasons. It just depends. I mean, at this point, like, what do you do? It depends on the draft, what's available to you, what's your succession plan. And the last thing they want is to get caught with their pants down like John did with the Peyton Manning thing. When Brock took the Houston deal, that was your succession plan. Now all of a sudden you're scrambling. The next thing you know, you're trying to plug with all these veterans. That doesn't work. You draft the guy and you draft the wrong guy. And then that makes you gun shy. So you don't draft the guy you should have drafted and Josh Allen. And I'll tell you what, man, the Broncos, they were desperately trying to convince Justin Herbert to come out that 1 year because they were going to take him. And then he decided to go back and wound up with the Chargers, winds up in division. So that's spitting on you.
Should as fans, should we have faith in what's in place? The owners, the upper management.
Have faith in the ownership. They want to be good and they're willing to spend to make it good. Did they bumble their first coaching search a little bit? Yeah, but that's because they didn't really know. They don't understand the mechanics of courting someone for the job. Greg Penner's never had to court someone for a job in his life. I'm Walmart. I got more money than God. I'm offering you money.
Why aren't you taking my
Like,
job?
yeah, you're either taking my job or I'm moving on to the next. Like, you don't turn me down. And so there's different mechanics to that, different mindset. So they learned from that. I do believe there's reasons for optimism. I just think that the problem is, as you look around the division, you got a Justin Herbert and a Pat Mahomes there. And if the Chargers ever get a coach that's worth his salt, they're going to be dangerous. But so that's the discouraging side. I lived in Kansas City through the Elway years. I know what it's like to look across the division and have
Sure.
quarterback envy.
I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
How does Vance Joseph have a job still?
That's the thing. Like, some of this is on Vance, but some of it isn't. Like, for instance, the tight end running vertically wide open for that touchdown, right? Cole Kmet. you had a situation there
2
where
touchdowns.
well, I'm not talking about the
He said
crossover.
the
I'm
one,
talking
the
about the
one.
vertical. Let's just talk about that one right there, and I can talk about that one too. But the vertical one's the easiest one because it was a cover 3 call. It's a very easy call. Everybody should be able to do this, right? And as the tight end heads up vertically, you've got a Texas concept called by the offense, which is an F angle. The back's coming out and then coming back to the middle, right? So the inside backer is eyeballing, is supposed to eyeball that. He's playing a zone there, and then you've got the outside backer, Nick Benito, who's supposed to chip the tight end and then drop back to cover. And what you had was no communication between Singleton and Benito. Benito didn't chip the guy. Both of them bit on the halfback angle, and the safety was shaded too far to the outside. And so that's execution.
But if they're not,
advanced,
execution is what a coach is responsible for.
Yeah, but you can't account for somebody just fucking going blank, right? You
it's
just
a
can't
combination of things. The coach needs to figure out a way to get those guys to communicate on the field. That he is. But when they're on the field, he's not wearing he can only make the call and then have those guys execute it. It's just like going into business. I need to make 4 sales today. Here's how you make those sales, guys. You need to go out and do this, and then they don't make the sales. Is that on you or is it on them for not making the sales?
Then you fired them.
Well, can we fire the players? Because
No, you can't fire the
we're
players.
already shorthanded.
Well, we're going to fire the manager.
Look, when I play D-level roller hockey, and I'll tell these guys, I'm like, hey, that guy's really good. If he's coming towards you, don't try to go get him.
Mhm.
Back up with him.
Yeah.
And I go, because otherwise he's going to step right around you.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, got it. And what happens? The
They
guy
run
comes up, they
So
run up
you're
on
right.
him, and he fucking goes right around him
But that-
every fucking time.
But that's the thing. That's that you can coach him. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I'm not saying Vance isn't partially responsible. He is responsible. And I do think that they'll move on. But right now, you're 4 games into the season. Your options are literally promote Greg Minuski, who is not good as a defensive coordinator, or bring in outside help, which is basically John Pagano.
Or
And that-
just fuck it and just tank. Just tank.
Yeah,
Well, we
hold on.
already won, so it's too late.
I believe.
The Bears aren't going to lose every game from here
seen
on
that
out.
team?
They
They lost to us.
I believe our mutual friend Mile High Mario has posited a theory about tanking, and you debunked it. You said anybody saying this is full of shit. I'm paraphrasing.
Right. Mario was the best man at my wedding, by the way. So it's,
Mario's great. I love Mario. I go see Mario, and he fixes me up occasionally. So, but I always love spending time with him. But
We got to get him in here.
Yeah,
I was
you
gonna
really
say,
did. You really did. That'd be a fun,
I
energetic
thought
show.
maybe he could have come in with Ben tonight. I forgot to suggest that. So, he said that he laid out the plan for the tank, and you said that's not possible. And now it's not possible. They can't effectively tank. They've blown
They
it.
weren't.
So-
They were. The sad part is they've been trying to win the whole time. There was the players are not.
The Broncos are as bad as they have ever been, and the NFL is as good as it has ever.
It sucks. It's a bad combination. But I do believe, like we were talking about Russell Wilson, I mean, it's almost bad timing for him because he got it together. He looks pretty decent, and then the fucking team sucks. So it's like, what do you do, Russ?
Should Russ Wilson be comeback player of the year? If he continues this pace, I mean, if he's a top 7 quarterback at the end of the year after the disaster, after the butt-fuckathon he had last year, I mean, that's
That would be a great long shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Speaking of long shots,
all right.
the last thing on my notes that I haven't crossed off yet is your same game parlays. What the fuck, dude? Like, I am getting my ass handed to me this year at BetMGM. Like, I just got my ass handed to me.
Promo code Benjamin
I-
200.
I've had an absolutely terrible season. I hope to turn it around. Lifetime, I'm down like $1,000. I've been playing for 3 years. NBA, I'm up 383. So
There you go.
look for me on the
So,
NBA.
I might come to you for
But-
the NBA stuff then.
Look at let's not get him talking about his $22 loss.
God damn
Yeah,
fucking Mahomes. But your same game parlays are sick. Like sick, like crazy. Like I was just looking at him today. I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this guy's crushed it.
There was one, like there's the anytime touchdown. There was under passing yards. There was quite a few things. Right? It was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, the one from last night. I had
Yeah,
Kenny
that's
Walker
right.
anytime touchdown. Daniel Jones less than 270.
Yeah, under the
Seahawks to
passing.
win. Oh man, I did 1 or 2 other conditions. It's just knowing the team. It's just, and it's a thing. Like I don't mean to be self-aggrandizing, but it's knowing football, and you kind of you're going to miss on stuff. Even the big, you're going to miss on stuff.
Of course you are. When you're putting 5 things into a fucking same game parlay.
Right, you put 5 conditions in.
Yeah.
Parlays generally are not plus EV moves, but
No!
I know enough to like where I am profitable with wagering. I've been I used to do the offshore books. Now it's all legal and they sponsor me. So, but it's like it's just one of those knowing games. Like with
And
the Chiefs
KOA doesn't mind.
No, they don't.
That's fascinating to me because
Gateway encourages it because
you could not even
spending money to advertise.
you could not even talk about gambling 5 years ago.
No, KOA. We do all. I have to do Ben's best bet of the day and all that kind of stuff. Like we have little segments that are
You know what? I know people have gambling problems and shit like that, but hey, everybody's adults. You should be able to fucking gamble.
As long as you're comfortable
It is-
losing the money.
Exactly.
Why in the world do I want to watch the Monday Night Football game unless I'm involved?
Well,
I mean,
I-
Seahawks
I'm
Giants.
like, I have Darren Waller anytime touchdown.
Like
Boy,
I have a
hey,
Let's
hey,
go.
I have a small parlay going right now. It's the middle of the seventh. The Phillies and Marlins are playing. I've got the under parlay with the Marlins plus 1.5. So I just need the Marlins to score one more run, and we're set.
Do you spreadsheet this action or how are you?
I have a ledger
Do you
to
keep track?
keep track.
I just
This-
started Juice Reel. Just started Juice Reel last week. I mean, I keep everything in a Google spreadsheet.
I used to do Bet IQ, but yeah.
I just started with Juice Reel, and they give me my stats and everything, and it was actually kind of depressing. But that's why I know, that's why I know that I'm a winning NBA bettor lifetime.
Yeah.
Since I think I started betting NBA in like 2017, and so all my shit loaded up into Juice Reel, and I can see, what I've
I am
done
a
and what I-
spectacularly bad baseball bettor. Spectacular.
Baseball
Oh,
is fucking impossible.
But like when it comes to football, like I'm fairly decent. Like you need what 55, 56%
It's
to be
55,
profitable.
56. You're
And I'm well into the 60s.
wow, that's good.
gambling, fantasy football, Taylor Swift, the NFL has everybody locked.
Dude, and now guillotine. How fucking awesome is
That's
guillotine?
pretty fun.
Are you playing a guillotine?
I'm not playing it, but I just got turned on to that this year.
We're
Like,
just
somebody showed me-
about to fire up another one,
somebody
buddy.
just let me know on that because I will get involved.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I
should
need to
get
get my feet in the water. So
It's very cool. It's very fun. It's just like all of
This week in our guillotine league, there were like 5 teams that might get eliminated, and you're hanging on to every.
That's what I
Darren
said.
Waller ended up being the.
Darren Waller was like the only time anyone's been not disappointed. Darren Waller sucked ass is because he didn't. If he had caught like 3 more passes, the guy would have gone on, but he didn't. So,
Rest in peace, Denver Dan.
yeah, it's good. It's Godspeed. Oh, listen, we're
This was a fucking hell of a show.
I know.
Thank you so much.
anytime, I love doing it. I honestly like. It was one of those things where I was hoping I'd ever. I see all the stuff you guys do. I watch it. I secretly download, watch and read. Watching all the stuff too. So I was like, maybe one day,
like I said, I always thought we got to get him on. We got to get him. And then we never did it. And then I thought this time we're fucking doing it.
I'm gonna say it. Fuck you, haters. Fuck the haters.
Oh yeah.
just don't make stuff up. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Just listen. You want to call him. You want to call him an asshole. You want to say he's devilishly handsome. You go ahead.
Hey, you think I'm a piece
Those
of shit, that's
eyes.
fine,
He's
but
got Peter Forsberg eyes.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah. So
I'm fine with people thinking I'm a piece of shit. I just just don't make stuff up, man. Just, come on, seriously.
I hear you. Well, Ben, it's been a pleasure. We're fans, and that's the whole thing. It was like I knew, like I thought, someone might oh, you know that guy on Raw. I'm like, listen, we all like Ben. I've only met you a few times, but I've always had good interaction with him. But I've had a good interaction with you on Twitter, unlike some of these fucking assholes.
Because your humor and my humor is sort of the same.
there you go. See, but no, it's a pleasure having you on. This was great, and we blew through 100, an hour and 20 minutes.
Maybe you did.
Yeah, without even thinking about it. So this was excellent. Tell everybody where they find you when your show's on, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm on KOA every weeknight that the Rockies aren't on from 6 to 11.
The Rockies are not on,
and they're not on anymore. So
yeah,
so we're straight cruising. So we're on KOA. You can always find that. I'm on the KOA broadcast. We do a pregame fantasy and betting show, which if you want to get the bets that I make, we do them all there. And then you can unfollow me at Albright NFL on Twitter. It's a dumpster fire. I wouldn't follow me, so you can unfollow me there.
Awesome. This has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. This is a good one, guys. I really enjoyed it. We've been hitting them. This is the 4th one in a row. 5, 4, 5?
4th in a row.
Wow.
Some really great guests too, and I'm working on some good shit.
That's awesome. Good. Well,
Talking to you, D-Mac.
That's right. We'll get back at it next week, and we'll have more fun for you. I don't know if we can top this one though, but we will try. For the South Stands Denver Fancast, adios.
We love you, Denver! Damn, dude. Great fucking show. Good job.
Hey, what song was that? Is that Doves? What is that? Yeah.
Slow dive.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're playing. Aren't they coming, or did it just came?
I think they just put a new album.
Yeah.